Welcome to Humanitarian and Development Conversations. Hello everyone, I am excited to welcome you to the second episode of the Humanitarian and Development Conversation, your lens to the humanitarian and development realities. I am Victor Daniel and I will be your host. In today's episode, we will continue the discussion we started on the last episode on a prevalent issue called the shadow shipping epidemic. This issue is silently reshaping the humanitarian and development sector because it may be undermining all the efforts on localization and silencing local leadership. Today, I have two guests with me to continue on this discussion. And these guests will be sharing their experiences and their perspectives as key stakeholders and forefront players in the field of humanitarian and development sector in their nation and how they are being affected by the shadow shipping epidemic. In this episode, voices from the field will meet global insights on shadow shipping. Our discussion promises to be insightful and it will be engaging all through. So join us as we dive deep into these conversations. Please, if you're joining us for the first time, you can like this episode and subscribe to the YouTube channel where you can find all our videos on humanitarian and development conversation and also other relevant videos. I would like to start by introducing our guest, and I would like to start with Mr. Ishaku Ibrahim Balami. So Mr. Ishaku is an outstanding leader and he has a very unique personality, and he has been in the forefront of the humanitarian and development sector for about 9 to 10 years now. Let me give you a brief about Mr. Ishaku Ibrahim. He is the Executive Director of Future Resilience and Development Foundation, also known as FRAD. This is a national organization responding to the humanitarian and development needs in the northeast and northwest of Nigeria. Mr. Ibrahim excels in the non-profit leadership and he has occupied various space or roles in the INGOs and national NGO space. Over the years, he has worked to pull over $1 million resources and have managed these resources efficiently alongside his team in FRAD. He is specialized in meal program design with exceptional passion for ICT 4D. Please join me welcome Mr. Ishaku Ibrahim to the Humanitarian and Development Conversation series. You are welcome, sir.
Victory. I'm glad to be here.
Our second guest for this episode today is Mr. Abubakar Sadiq Muazu. Mr. Abubakar, you are welcome to the Humanitarian and Development Conversation series. A little brief about Mr. Abubakar Sadiq Muazu. He is the Executive Director of the Center for Advocacy, Transparency, and Accountability Initiative, also known as CATAI. He is also a passionate advocate for girl-child education. He has over 8 years of experience in the humanitarian and development sector. He has been at the forefront of the initiatives promoting education, governance, leadership, protection, peace building, and livelihood within Northeast Nigeria. His extensive expertise in program management and strategic planning has enabled him to successfully implement projects funded by USAID, Swiss Development Corporation, the MacArthur Foundation, UNICEF, UNDP, UNFPA, European Union, UN Women, Action Aid, GRS, the Nigerian Humanitarian Fund, and so many other local and international partners. We are happy to have you on this conversation today. You are welcome, Mr. Abubakar Sadiq Muazu.
Thank you for having me.
So we will begin immediately. Please permit me to start this discussion this way. In the last episode, our guest made us understand that shadow shaping, it's like an unknown mistake. It began with good intentions to develop and strengthen the capacity of national organizations. But it seems to me that the focus is mainly on governance, policies, and structuring the organization, which makes the organizations focus more on compliance rather than doing their actual work and being innovative in doing their work. So, is this true? And can you share your experiences with us, sir?
All right, thank you so much. This is true, and is happening that is actually evident in the humanitarian space. You can evidently see it. But then I will agree, actually, at the beginning, that was not the intention, just like the former speaker said. But then, they said when the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. And one of the things that makes it more prevalent and more evident, is that when the whole idea of localization comes into place to build the capacity of national NGOs, I think one key area is missing. So INGOs are more focused on the national NGO, forgetting that they are working with people as a staff. Okay, so they were more focused on the system strengthening, but not training their own staff on what localization is, on what this capacity building that we're providing these national NGOs is, which led to the whole concept of the shadow shaping. And you will find out that an organization who doesn't have a localization strategy means that they're going to work with partners or with national NGOs anyhow, because there is no defined strategy, defined goals they want to achieve while partnering with this organization, and their staff will be more focused on governance, will be more focused. It will just be like a rule set to them on paper to check XYZ of the national NGO, and if they are not seeing some of those things, they just tag that particular organization as a risk. And what happens now is it becomes more of cloning. Okay, you're just trying to clone yourself, in that particular national NGO. So the issue of it happening is happening, and the happenings is actually growing fast beyond what we are actually thinking. And I felt the whole idea of the grant by gain is losing its purpose. The whole idea of localization or nationalization is gradually losing its purpose, simply because the INGOs, the UN organizations who loves or wants to be working with partners, lack a defined document, okay, that says these are the policy we are having if we're going to be partnering with these people, so that it will be clear to those members of the organizations or the members of the INGOs that we're not here to clone these people. We're here to get their own contextual based knowledge, their own contextual based understanding, and let it be reframed by them, not we even reframing it for themselves.
Okay, thank you so much, Victory, for this wonderful conversation. I think this is a conversation that will indeed shape a lot of initiatives globally in terms of providing opportunity for local actors or national actors that are providing intervention or providing services to the people in need. But most importantly, just to take us back, if you look at the entire scenario of humanitarian support or humanitarian intervention, You get to understand that local actors or national actors are mostly the first responders to any type of crisis or to any
Yeah.
type of needs that arise in community. These responses are mostly being provided even without structures of system, just to mobilize certain resources, just to mobilize certain services, just to mobilize certain expertise to provide those needs across various communities that are bedeviled with the issues of insurgency or that are bedeviled with the issues of displacement, uh, providing them with a kind of a SOCO or the first response before they bounce back better. If you look at all of these key things, these are things that national organization and international and national organization and local organization, be it civil society organization, community-based organization, provide this support for people to have access to certain things. Aligning it to the global context, you get to see that globally, humanitarian aid or humanitarian support are things that has to do with accountability to affected population,
Yeah.
accountability to people in need. And most importantly, this accountability cannot be there until or unless there are systems, procedures, and policies that are in place. So that is how sometimes you will get to see that the differences between the policies and systems of other nations and the systems and policies of our own nations and our own countries. Most at times when humanitarian support is being provided, particularly resources to local actors are to some certain extent mandated to align some of their systems with the systems of the international organization, thereby hindering some kind of innovation. But I will tell you that for me, to some extent, systems need to be strengthened by understanding the weakness of those systems, not to impose other systems on it. So, most importantly, yes, I will believe with you that because of those imposement, it is hindering or it is reducing the aspect of innovation that local actors need to bring in the forefront. But most importantly, I will not just go away with the fact that there is a need for a system to be there. So, my own thought is how can international organizations, how can UN agencies, how can donors globally will align to see that they build the systems of national actors in line with their own perspective, in line with their own needs, and in line with their own peculiar issues or scenarios that is within and around their operation modality. I used to say that policies and system are made to simplify intervention so as
Yeah.
people in need will not suffer. But when policies and systems are making intervention difficult, then there is no need for us to have those systems in place, thereby affecting the life of people, even to some extent, people losing their life at the end and at the tail end. So these are key things that we need to look at. There is a need for those systems, but those systems need to be what? Context specific.
Thank you very much. Wow, this was eye-opening, and thank you for sharing your experience with us and speaking from your heart. And this makes sense to me as it relates to what the first speaker, Ali Al Baghdad, in our first episode was talking about. That the main problem is there is no strategy in doing this, and there are no guiding policies or documents in place. So even the people trying to implement the capacity building for the national organizations are not well informed and they do not have a strategy in doing it appropriately. So they begin to clone and force their systems on the national organizations. Thank you very much for sharing your perspective with us. Now, the next question, you started talking about the next question where you gave us an example on an INGO that wanted you to completely change your governance system. So, you've already started talking about it. That means you have experienced it, where INGOs want you change your governance system, or they want you to use their own governance structures and policies. But this makes operational processes cumbersome, and it makes you slow down in responding to emergencies. Share with us how you are able to overcome this, or how you were able to navigate through this kind of situation.
Dr. Victory. So I think the major thing I felt every national NGO needs to know is for them to have their own structure first. And apart from having your own structure, be convinced that the structure you have is enough, okay, for you. Because when you're not convinced that the structure you have is enough and is good enough for your day-to-day operations as a national NGO or as an organization, that is within this space, you will accept almost everything. So when tomorrow somebody comes to say, change your board chairman, you just go ahead to change because your attention is on the money. No, your ED cannot be secretary of the board. All those conversations that has to do with the governance and the rest of them. So the first thing I felt we do as an organization was to first do our assignment, was for us to have the national document first. What is it saying, right? What is the law saying about non-profit organization? What is the law saying about the governance structure of the non-profit organization? Because, some of the mistake, the issues we are having, as an INGO, you have staff across the world, right? So we'll have conflicting ideas because somebody coming from Ukraine, this person coming from USA, different countries, they might want to bring their ideas together. You understand, to define to you what your structure, your governance, should be, and the rest of them. But when you already have this structure defined with a clear justification that this is the way we wanted this system to be, and also this is what will work in this particular context, I think you should be able to convince whosoever that is saying he's not happy with your governance. And one of the key dangers of this, to the way it slows down even operations and the rest of them, is, let me give you an instance. I know of a friend who was about to get a partnership, and they have to wait for 6 months for that partnership to be signed. Do you know one of the reasons? The reason was they have to change one person from the governance.
Wow.
They have to change one person from the board if they must, continue with the partnerships. So a response that should be done in January, for instance, it has to wait and linger till June. And do you know who is mostly affected? One is not the national NGO, two is not the INGO, but the beneficiaries, the affected populations. Those people that needed the services, okay? Those people that these services will save life. And only God knows how many people must have died within that particular period of delays, okay? So all this bureaucracy, all this marginalization, has impact on even the delivery of the response itself entirely, because at this stage, when you start it with this micromanagement, when you start it with this shadowing, that particular impression is already there at the mind and at the heart of the leadership of the national NGO first, that these people, this and this and these are those things that they are not going to take, and hence we are just going to just do their readings. We do things exactly and 100% the way the project document stated it. So if there is room for innovation, we keep the innovation for ourselves, because right from the beginning they never allowed innovations. And there is no operations that can go smoothly 100% where there is no room for innovations, because it will just look like garbage in and garbage out. So I always encourage, especially national NGOs like us that have the proper system. I'm not saying all national NGOs governance structure and the rest of them is fine and perfect 100%, but meet the minimum requirement in everything, even at the sectoral level. We have minimum requirements, right, for all responses. So you also meet the minimum requirement, and those issues of shadow shaping of your governance structure, of your even management structure, and the rest of them might not come that much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ibrahim, for this insight. You made a statement that stood out for me. If there is innovation, we keep our innovation to ourselves because we were never allowed from the beginning to be innovative, just working strictly by the books. And this really affects how you deliver the services and how you work and also the timely response. Thank you for sharing your experience and being sincere and open about it. Mr. Obakar, I would like to talk about sustainability for national organizations. Now, in terms of sustainability, do you think that local organizations can maintain some of the imposed governance structures that they have adopted from INGOs or from donors when there is a reduction or there is cut down in funding, like what we are seeing now? When funding is reduced from the donors, from the INGOs, and the national organizations receive less, can they maintain the governance structure and the processes that they have adopted from those INGOs? How does this reflect in terms of sustainability and long-term impact for national organizations?
Well, I believe national actors, when I mentioned they are at the forefront of response, even at the inception, you get to understand that national actors have trust that was built by even the community members. They believe that these are local actors that comes from us. These are people that are part of us, and these are people that mean good for us. Are key things that will take things forward. But most importantly, if you look at the issues of cutting down on funding, these are things that significantly is affecting the entire response. And most importantly, how we can get to the sustainability starts from the design stage. Most at times, international organization or other organization, nationally or whatsoever, they tend to deliver services without even consulting with the people in need of their priorities. You tend to sustain something when you are interested in having that thing. So I would encourage that as we are moving forward is how best can we have, even at the conceptualization stage of project proposal design, we are taking along members of communities in the design so as for it to be the beginning of the project marks the sustainability drafting of the project. So these are key things. When it comes to donors, donors need to also be very, very strategic in terms of providing support to local actors because one, there is value for money. Value for money by reducing operational cost of INGOs, by reducing operational cost of big multinational organization, thereby providing that services directly to the people in need across those communities. So when you look at it also, there are a lot of international organizations that are pushing risk to national actors when the resources are less. But most importantly, how can international organizations build system of national actors even when there is a huge risk? Those national actors are meeting up to the expectation across those communities. So I believe it is around or it is about the give and take of national actors. National actors need to build their system. National actors need to strengthen their ability. National actors need to have the capacity to ensure that whenever they are in negotiation stage in terms of resources allocation, it is a value addition to the service they will render, not just a risk mitigation strategy to providing them with the intervention because they have little operational cost or because they have little manpower demand for services to be rendered. national actors need to also be treated equal in terms of the humanitarian principles.
Are we just assuming, or it is true that most of the times the INGOs use themselves as a model? They tell you this is how we do things, this is how we are doing it, and if you don't conform to their model, you will not receive funding or you will not be part of the partnership going forward. And this makes a lot of organizations lose their unique identity. Is this just mere assumption, or this is true? This is what is happening on the ground?
Not an assumption, but it's something that if you call the partnership people of all those INGOs, they will confirm to you that this is what they are doing. So it's something that is far from being an assumption. It is something that is actually happening consciously or unconsciously. It is happening. So it's far from being, you can't even call it an assumption. Let me give you an instance. 70% of the partnership I've managed is actually shadow shipping. Right from the beginning, they give you their proposal template. I will agree maybe it's for them to have an ease in reviewing the applications. When it is done, they give you their reporting template. Some goes even further to tell you this is the standard of their attendance for activity, which means anything you've developed, any tool you've developed as an organization, you keep them. But do you know the amazing thing? During the due diligence processes, they ask you if you have those things. And you say, yes, you have. But when you sign the agreement, they send you the tools, all the complete tools. This is those things that you are going to be using for our reporting. These are those things we need. These are the MOVs we need. And this is the way we need it to be. And it will look like you're their baby organization, because if someone will come to check you, in fact, some go extra mile to tell you your policy is limited, and until you put this particular clause in the policy, because this is what we believe, we aren't going to work with you. So it's true.
Thank you for sharing this and letting us know that it is not a mere assumption that we think we are making, but it is true. It is happening down on the field. I have worked with donors that have even give you the freedom of choosing how you want to report, when you want to report. But then when it now comes to INGOs now forcing their models on the national NGOs, I think it just makes the whole process and response cumbersome and not making it easier, which is supposed to be the main aim, to make the process easy, closer to the people, and it gets to the people faster. Now, you already started talking about how you stood your ground and how you have navigated some of these issues. Now, I want you to give us few mitigation strategies or solutions to this shadow shaping. What are the proposed solutions and strategies in handling this kind of issues? And then I would like you to round up by giving a call to action to the INGOs and the national NGOs.
So, on the strategies to mitigate some of these actions, is I will speak to my colleagues, those at the national NGO space, that we need to be intentional. What I mean by intentional is we need to define exactly who we are, where we want to be, and our own strategy. And we also need to be intentional about having our own policies and documentation, and not just having those things, but understanding them, having them at the back of our minds, right? Knowing that these are the documents that guide us, and these documents, we didn't adopt it from anywhere. We develop it as policies that we're going to be using to shape and guide our day-to-day operations as an organization. Now, when you don't have this in place, you will accept anything. There's this saying that a person who doesn't know where he is going, he will arrive at anywhere. Because at the beginning of the journey, nothing is defined. So anybody that comes to redirect you to any direction, you just follow suit, because sometimes we are constrained to just collect the money. So if national NGOs will mitigate is we define who we are. What is our brand, right? Do not shift your brand simply because you see an opportunity in one particular place. Build your own niche. So when you build your niche, and when these people come and they see that you have a defined goals as organization, right? Instead of shadow shaping you, or instead of cloning you, they will even feel like they have something to learn from you, right? And they will shield their sword, and it will be more collaborative partnership instead of bullying, risk transfer, and the rest of them. So that is one. And secondly, we must learn to understand that as national NGO, you will always be here. Most of the INGOs that comes, they are only coming temporarily, right? And if you own the house, who should make most of the decision? It is you. We're not saying that you'll be rude to your partners, but you understand the context more. So sell your value. Okay? When these people come, sell your value. Explain to them why, yes, they are INGOs, but why you should be the one even leading the initiatives. So when we don't sell our value, it will be very difficult to mitigate these issues of shadow shopping, these issues of, somebody coming and ask you to dismantle this and this, setting huge criteria and very unrealistic criteria for you to follow. Because when they come most of the time, what do? They check our staff strength, staff capacity. I always tell people, even my donors, capacity is a function of resources, right? Because when you give me the resources, I can hire any other person in the world. So if it is the people that is the problem, give me the resources. In fact, I will even hire you. Like you're coming to check the capacity, because I have the resources. And when you see these people, you believe that I have the capacity.
Okay, I believe quite a number of things need to be put in place, particularly, when you identify and carve your niche and you become a household name to the service you provide or to the service you rendered, you tend to be on the negotiation table to determine what best need to work for you or what best need to work for the people in need. Most of the times, national actors also, in as much as donors, international organizations are imposing all of these key things, national organizations also need to meet up with the expectation. Meeting up with the expectation by carving their own needs and creating a household name of a specific kind of intervention they rendered to the best of their ability. So you tend to see people coming up as sub IPs that have never implemented a specific type of intervention. Let me cite, for example, you have a partner that is strong in education, but that partner is always pursuing and aspiring to implement certain things in nutrition. You can see there is a gap in capacity, there is a gap in understanding of the entire context. Thereby, even when certain things are being enforced in those organizations, they will take it without knowing the implication.
True.
So there is a need to have those context knowledge, to have those understanding to identify and carve their niche. And most importantly, for donors, value for money is very important. It's not just about delivering the output of a project, but about the outcome of the entire project itself. So there is a need for specific learning initiatives, for specific internal capacity strengthening and support for the various organizations to meet up with their expectations, so as to see that those organizations that are coming on board, or those organizations that are providing those services, are showcasing their initiatives and they are showcasing their values, and let it not just serve at they are answerable to certain things that were being designed, but they are being carried along in the design and conceptualization stage of the entire project.
So I would like to throw up the call to action, and this specifically to even donors first. Then we go to the INGOs, because INGOs receive the money from the donors. Just like you said, you've worked with a donor who gives you the liberty to even decide how you want to be doing your reporting. Some of these INGOs receive some of these funds as flexible funding. As flexible funding. It doesn't make sense when you receive a fund as flexible funds and you give a partner as a very rigid funds. If truly we're intentional about building the humanitarian space, doing capacity transfer, building the capacity of these organizations, you must be able to give us flexible funds that will sit down at the round table as organizations to innovate, identify needs, identify gaps and problems, right? Come up with real solutions that we are going to be solving. And at the end, you'll be proud that you gave the national NGOs such resources. So replicate what is being done to you. This is one of my key call to action. Replicate what is being done to you. And when you do that, you will see the capacity, exact capacity that you are looking for. And you will not even be worried about coming with your very big tool to assess those partners that will take 6 hours, sometimes 24 hours for you and the partner to pass through and to go through those particular tools. And lastly, not just INGOs replicating, but the donors also holding those partners accountable. Example is, if donor A give an INGO money, right? And tomorrow they are having a review meeting, and the national NGO that is a sub-implementing partner or a partner organization is not part of the meeting, the donor should question, where is the partner that you said you're working with? Where is the partner? He should also be a decision maker, right? This will strengthen local leadership in the humanitarian and development space. Thank you. Apologies, I
Wow.
speak a lot.
No, it's fine. Thank you so much. Thank you for uh, giving us insight on how to mitigate and provide solution to this on the side of the national NGOs and international NGOs. It was really thought-provoking and reflective talking with you and hearing these things. So now we are hearing you that are on ground in the field that have experienced these issues and not just mere assumptions at the global space where we are having these conversations. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective and your experience with us on this episode. So, to our listeners and viewers, if you have any inquiry or questions, or you want to interact directly with our guests, you can contact them on their LinkedIn profile, which it would be on your screen right now. You can contact Mr. Ishaku Ibrahim Balami on his LinkedIn profile, and also Mr. Abubakar Sadiq Muazu on their LinkedIn profile. It's been a wonderful time listening to our guest speakers. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you to all our listeners and viewers. Thank you everyone for tuning and joining in the conversation. Don't forget to share this with relevant stakeholders that should be part of this conversation and should join in raising the voices on the issue of shadow shaping. Please like the video and subscribe to this YouTube channel to access all the episodes and other relevant videos. In our next episode, we will be having a critical conversation around navigating leadership in the humanitarian and development sector. And in the first series of that conversation, we'll be talking about balancing technical and interpersonal skills. So keep your fingers crossed, and we would announce when we would be having that conversation. Thank you for joining us today, and bye for now.